Hey, friends, welcome back to the Called to Lead podcast. I'm kind of excited, maybe a teensy bit nervous about today's podcast episode because it's something that I think is really cool, which, as a data nerd and someone who honestly loves to stalk and know all the things about how businesses work and maybe the realities of what other businesses or business models look like, I decided to do something a little bit differently this year, and hopefully, this might become a new series, at least this year, for this podcast. And that is going to be doing what I'm going to call a renewal update. And we're going to start with my 2023 recap or business overview, where what I want to do is in this video, I'm going to give you the real numbers of what my business experienced and looked like in 2023, both personally and for my team. But I hope to actually do this each month. So I hope you guys like this episode. I'm going to go ahead and dive in because there's lots to share. But let's get excited for the renewal recap for 2023. So I'm curious, are you like me where you love to kind of have the inside scoop on the reality of numbers, whether it's researching compensation plans for other companies or, really even learning about all different types of business models? I'm the type that I love to be in the know. And I also love to know the realities of what's possible, but also kind of manage expectations around like the real realities, if you will. And so, as I mentioned in my very last episode that I did, episode 103, my word of the year is renewal. And that is based first and foremost in Romans 12:2, but it's also based around this awesome book by a man I hope to interview very soon named Brett Blake that's called Renewal for Field Leaders. And it really, that combined with reading a book called 10X is Easier Than 2X, which I just started actually, was I guess last week. And so I'm just a little bit into it, but it's really helped me to really focus in all my energies where I have ideas for days. And while I know I'm called to be doing this podcast, that's something the Lord put on my heart years ago, and it's something I enjoy doing and plan to continue doing. I realized that I wanted to go all in on just really two clear key things for my business this year. And that's one, learning out loud on this podcast and sharing my desire to experience renewal in my Saint business and do all the things that I know can get there based off of what Brett talks about in his book, and just kind of learn out loud with you guys and share some of them I've already implemented over the last few years since I've read this book, and they're working. So if you're just now reading this book, or if you're a leader in Saint or another company who maybe is feeling a little stuck or stagnant in your business, I actually hope that some of these numbers can be a little inspiring for the fact that when you do implement things like this, you can have numbers that don't necessarily match up to what everybody else is experiencing, which I'm definitely proud of. Now, before I get into this, I want to be very clear that I don't want to tiptoe around the realities of the numbers in any way, shape, or form. So I'm going to reference our company's income disclosure statement, which is in the show notes or in the description if you're watching this on YouTube. And this is where you can find the legit like realities and results for the 2022 year for Saint in terms of how many people are at each rank, what the income level looks like for that. And if you see those, I heard somebody say this week they thought that was the sales it took to get to that rank. And I'm like, no, that's the actual money that those ranks can make, both the low, the average, or median, I can't remember if it's median or average, or the high for each and all of the ranks. And again, just to remind you, I'm an Artist 9 who has been with this company for 7 years. I've worked every day except for the Sundays that I rest and the times of Advent. I've done something pretty much every single day for the last 7 years of my business. So I've either jogged or run pretty hard, and this is what I do full time. So I want to be clear that it does take hard work. It does take investment of resources and tools that I share about on this podcast all the time. I did an entire breakdown on exactly how I spend my money and where it goes. So if you want to understand the investment side, you can check out that link in the show notes as well to that previous episode where I shared like my money breakdown. But most importantly, this business model, whether it's in Saint or in any other company, I believe in but it is one, just like anything else, that takes years of hard work and focus and choosing faith over fear and all of the things that I encourage you guys to do on this podcast in order to see the results that I'm going to share with you. So just keep that in mind, okay? And I hope that I don't get, if I have to take this down, if I get a compliance thing, I'll take it down, but hopefully I'm being compliant and being fully transparent with you about this. It's not to brag. It's actually the opposite of that. I would say it's to start kind of a baseline for where my business is now and where I hope to grow it in this next year. And if I don't grow, that's okay too, because I told you guys last week in the episode that I do believe that Saint is entering what is called the shakeout, which is very common for network marketing companies in the 5 to 7 year process. And if you're watching this on video, you'll be able to see the kind of bell curves that anybody from 31 to Scentsy to Nu Skin to Usana to you name it, they experience. There's Arbonne. They experience this hyper growth. They hit this peak and then they go down, but then they quite often go up and experience even higher growth than what they had at their peak. At the very least, it's a sustainable business where you might not expect to have like the post-COVID crazy growth stats of what, like it's not like you can grow your business 20% year over year. There's not really a business model where that's a thing, to be honest. So if you've experienced that, know that the reality might not be that. So while I would like to experience renewal and that is my goal, I know that being in the shakeout or kind of creating stability in the business would be a great result. So I wouldn't be upset if even I go 20% backwards or even kind of level out at a pre-COVID version of my business. And I encourage you to do the same, like kind of almost do like a reset to go back to what those numbers looked like and make that your goal. So again, this is just a way that I can kind of be transparent with you guys about the realities, kind of satiate those who want to know what that looks like, because I'm totally an open book. If you're a stat or a data nerd like me, you'll eat this up. And then also what's really cool is the things that I'm going to tell you, these are things that you can start tracking right now in this year, whenever you're listening to it. This is January, start of the year. You can start tracking these things for your team and for your business. And it's something that I think you can keep track of each month. So let's get into it. So what I did with the data, and this is probably what I'm going to do if you guys like it, and I kind of like it. I love a good acronym, and I came up with one for 4 different areas that I'm going to share at each month for the previous month. And this is also, because honestly, you guys, this podcast is kind of my team training, if you will. Like this is me, like a lot of leaders, and I did this for years where I had a team Facebook page where I would go on and do a weekly training each week. And now in my business, I'm at number one, a level where I'm looking to build up leaders in my company and help other people duplicate the leadership that I have. So this is a little bit of a higher level leadership, podcast, if you will. But because I do have a lot of leaders, they have their own Facebook pages. I don't want to complicate it. And so this is a way that I can train anyone on my team or anybody's team within Saint or any other company, because I know I learned from others in other companies when I was getting started in my journey, and I was inspired by what they had to say. So that's the purpose of this, if that makes sense. So the acronym that we're going to be working with and that I'm going to use to do my recap for 2023, but then also for the months to come moving forward, is going to be work. One of the reasons why I decided on the word work is because honestly, leading a team like this or leading or building a network marketing company, it is work, just like any other worthy job or income out there. And so I want to be, number one, honest about that. And with any job or any work that you do, there's going to be highs and lows and lessons learned. And you might have heard of like a SWOT analysis, strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats. Well, this is kind of that, but specific to your network marketing business. And so just as a quick overview, the W stands for win of the month or what's working. Honestly, both of those work as a W, but it's essentially celebrating the good things that happened in your business or again, in the last year for me. So the W is win or what's working. The O is opportunities for growth. So this is kind of like the challenges or maybe the not so good stuff. But instead of looking at it from like a glass half full perspective, it's funny, I have a glass that's kind of half, is it half full? Is it half empty? But what this allows us to do is really focus on the opportunities for growth, because there's always going to be that in yourself personally. There's always going to be that relationally, whether it's your family or your team or your friends or whoever. There's always going to be opportunities for growth. So being able to call those out and call them what they are, I think is important. And then R stands for recognition or even results. And so this, for me, is going to be an opportunity for me to shout out some real results of the ladies on my team who are doing big things and winning big in their business using the principles that I teach on in this podcast. So it's another form of public recognition. I've done an entire podcast about recognition before and the importance of that. And so this allows me, since this is kind of my team training, if you will, this allows me to publicly shout out some girls who've done some really cool things in their business over the last year. And then the last one is K or KPIs. And so this is super important. This is something that any business owner in traditional business does, and any network marketer who treats her business like a business should do, and definitely something that if you think your company might be in that renewal season, like we think ours are, or like the shakeout, these KPIs can help you know based on data and fact whether that is the case. And so the KPIs are the actual data or the number that you should track, or that you could track if you choose to, in your business. And I'm going to be sharing mine for last year and moving forward. Okay, so let's dive in. So the W. So for 2023, I have a spreadsheet, because of course I do, that has all this. So it made it a little bit easy. So if you're starting from fresh for this year, you can maybe do it in your Notes app or Google Sheets. Just a way, just write it down. You know what? I even know people who literally manually write it out. I like being able to access it digitally and mess with the numbers and stuff like that. But the win, and I'm going to do 3. And I probably honestly will do this each month. I'll probably do 3 wins, 3 opportunities, 3 recognitions, and there's more than 3 KPIs, but the KPIs that I'll show you, and maybe I'll track. I don't know. We'll see. I'm just gonna wing this because I think it's gonna be a fun new series. So the 3 wins that I want to shout out for my team for 2023 is we had our best year yet in terms of sales, which I was so excited about because it was definitely a bit of a roller coaster. In fact, like November, even for example, was the best month we ever had. Whereas November was the best month I think ever. And then December, not so great. Not so great at all. So then it's like, and sometimes that's what it is. Like the highs create the lows, and then that builds momentum or makes you kind of get your what in order. And so overall, when you look at the entire year, I was so excited that it was a huge win, and I want to celebrate that it was my best year yet in Saint. So I'll share the exact numbers coming up later. And then another win is that I ranked to Artist 9, and it was surprising and not so much accidental, but it definitely was like unexpected, even though it's just a huge blessing. I am so grateful, and that allowed me to then help push my Mama and Saint mentor, Sarah Davies, who I'm supposed to be on a call with right now. So hopefully let me make sure she's not in the Zoom. Nope, not in the Zoom. Still wait. Sarah's always late. Sarah, you'll be here soon, I'm sure. So anyway, but she hit Artist X, which is just amazing. It was such a blessing. And to be able to help her do that was so inspiring, because I know she, again, exemplifies a lot of what I talk about on here. So ranking to Artist 9 and helping Sarah rank to Artist X was a huge win. And that meant that, there were huge rank advancements, like Brianne Heap ranked to Artist 6, which was amazing. And all of her team helped contribute to that, which was just super, super, super exciting. Now, I also want to share the realities that I hadn't been paid their since. So I still am going to count it as a win because it's a big deal, but also know that it's very common to go backwards, especially when you hit a really, really massive rank in your business. And I am also proud that I was paid at Artist 8, which is still awesome, for the other 11 months of the year. So I'll count that as a win. And then the third win is that I was able to help a lot of people rank and grow at the higher levels of leadership. Not so much the lower levels, and we'll talk about that in a minute as an opportunity, but I really got to watch a lot of people win big, and that was such a blessing. And honestly, that's the biggest motivator in my business, is being able to help you, whether you're on my team or whether you're in our company or not, win in your business. And that's my passion. That's why I do what I do. And so the fact that I can think of countless leaders that experienced that over 2023, even though it was a little bit rocky, like I said, or kind of a roller coaster for a lot of people. That was amazing. It was a big blessing, and it just makes me want to do it more, which is so exciting. So then the O, we'll move into that one, or the opportunities for growth. So this is the bad and sometimes not, maybe not ugly, but this is where we need to focus some energy in towards of growth. So challenges, things like that. So number one, retention, which is essentially, if you think of your network marketing business like a bucket, essentially we've got a leaky bucket. And this is very normal, very, very common. It's typical in any company, any business model. It's just not something that I've experienced that much of in my business. And it's something that I definitely experienced at a greater level, which means people, well, not more people quitting, but a lot of people deciding this business isn't for them. And it's sad, but it is a reality. However, I do think it's something that we can improve. I also think hopefully naturally that number will get better, though it could get worse because, again, if we're going into the shakeout, managing expectations, there might be more people that do decide this isn't for them or decide to start over and try it at another company, which I wish you all the best luck in the world if you do that. But the reality is, retention is always something that any business leader is going to have. But I would like to focus on ways to plug the holes in the bucket and experience maybe a little bit less of a loss, both from my personal front line, but also for the team overall. So retention is an opportunity for growth for us. Then number two is something that, as much as I kind of preach on going back to basics in your business, I think something that I lost sight of, and I think a lot of us in Saint have lost sight of, is our foundation leadership rank, which is what our entire comp plan is built on. And that's what we call Artist 3. And really only about 10% of artists reach that rank, maybe 20% at some point. And so it's one of those things that I think we, number one, can help way more people get there. I think we can help way more people get there faster. And when I know my St. Mama Sarah has some numbers that show that the number of rank advancements at that leadership level are significantly lower than they once were. And that is a problem. And it's something that we definitely need to focus on if we want to continue to grow and reach renewal in the business. And so the fact that we lost focus on helping people hit that foundation rank is definitely something I want to work on. And then third and finally, our onboarding system. And this kind of breaks my heart because, oh man, okay. So I used to think, I think we had this down pre-COVID or even during COVID, back in the days of the, online party was just the easy way to do it. And we really only had Facebook and people weren't, distracted by Instagram and Reels and all of that stuff. It was a little bit clearer on how to help a new artist get started in her business. And it's something that I know I worked really hard on in probably the second and third year of my business. And it worked. The systems that we had worked. Whereas the systems that we've been doing for the last year, they were developed to, in all honesty, I think served too broad of a mission, and it was too much information, and it did not have the best results when it comes to bringing on new artists on our team and helping them get quick, easy wins, and again, stay the course for the long run. And so our onboarding has been a little bit broken. However, I am so stinking excited that we literally spent December developing a brand new onboarding system that I believe is going to revolutionize, honestly, maybe not even just our company or even our team, but I think this could be the future. And it's essentially a text automation where it really, really simplifies the steps at giving, as Courtney, that I'll tell you more about in a minute, calls chicken nuggets. Instead of giving the whole steak dinner to a brand new artist or distributor, we're giving her the little chicken nuggets, right? Just the little bits that she needs to get started. And it's going to be a true system, which Brett Blake defines as something everyone knows, everyone uses, and it works. And I'll explain how we know it works in just a second. But I think this could be the solution. It's something that for sure we're going all in on. We literally, Sarah and I rolled it out on a live video. We worked really hard with about 10 or 12 of the top leaders in our bigger team who make up about 80% of the company. We worked really, really, really hard to make to put these tools together, and we rolled them out, and I'm so excited. It's so, so, so good. So good. So onboarding, not so great, but I think we're going to nail it in 2024. I'm excited. So let's move into the R, which again is recognition. So this is my time to kind of shout out some amazing things that happened for some artists on my team over 2023. And of course, this is so hard, especially over an entire year. But there are 3 that come to mind that were really special to me, or just quite frankly, really big deals. And the first one is I'm actually going to start with a like lower level, if you will, like not like this big shiny like top leader, top seller thing, because I think that this is the most important thing to recognize, which is someone taking those next steps of growth in their business. And that is Drew Goddard. So Drew actually enrolled in directly with me a year ago this month. And it actually took her a few months because again, our onboarding system kind of sucked, but it took her a few months to get going and get started. And so she actually didn't rank to Artist 2 until a few months into her business. But then once she got going, she kind of got her feet wet and, sort of stepped outside her comfort zone, figured things out a little bit. But it wasn't until she implemented the automations that I talk about a ton on this podcast. I actually created an entire course called Automate to Replicate that she took to implement the automations, which unfortunately right now, you guys, some of the automations we're having issues with because, well, honestly, it's because I think, well, I don't know if I'm supposed to say that, but it's good. It's a good thing, but that course is not available right now, but you can implement automations by chatting with anybody at Project Broadcast, and they can help you get those set up in your business. But what that does and what it did for Drew is it allowed her to kind of build her confidence that she could serve her customers well, and she could put herself out there a little bit more on social media and in-person makeovers and parties. And she did, and her sales went from being, again, not ranking, to maybe getting active here and there, to being consistently in the top, or in the 30 to 35% commission bracket, like month after month, and in the top 5 of all of my direct artists, pretty much every month in the latter half of the year after implementing it. And for me, that gets me so excited because that's seeing an emerging leader that I know is going to do big things this year. And she deserves every bit of the shout out. So Drew, congratulations. And these principles and these systems and strategies, they work. And she is proof of that. So congratulations to Drew. So the second person I want to shout out is Miss Courtney Sheffield. So I touched on her earlier when it came to onboarding because not only did she rank to Artist 7 last year? It could have even been the year before, which is a big freaking deal. That's like the top less than 1% of the company. And she's got, again, a ton of growth and leadership happening on her team right now, which is exciting. But specifically, I want to shout her out for really taking the bull by the horns to literally invest in piloting this text onboarding for her team. She partnered with her leaders on developing the system. They rolled it out in November and had incredible results. Not only was their enrollment up significantly, they had 20% growth in 1 month. They went from like 100 teamies to 120. So like they had 20 people join gross. I think anyway, she had 20 people join. 17 of them ranked to Artist 2 using this system. So it did 2 things. It encouraged the people to feel like they could go enroll people because they knew they had a simple system to plug it into, which led to more enrollment. But then even better, the gals that enrolled had success way faster than like Drew. Sorry, Drew, love you. That was my fault or our fault. Anyways, but they had much higher success and they were able to prove the concept of the system worked. And she generously gave it all to our entire larger team to then put our heads together, roll it out in a bigger way. And it's so exciting. And I'm so excited for her. And I know what it feels like to implement something in your business and then have it work for others and to be able to see that. So Courtney, congratulations. And then finally, some of you guys might remember it was last summer of 2022, I interviewed a gal named Mackenzie Fultz who did the Replicate Your Results course, which I'm really excited about. If you're on the waiting list or have been for a minute or have been thinking about like taking your business to the next level, I am going to be opening up that course for free for everybody, whether you're a Saint artist or not, here shortly, as soon as I can get all the ducks in the row on the back end through February. And then I am going to kind of close that down and then do it for my Saint team around that time in there. And then eventually I'll open it back up, down the road. But again, I want to honor those of you guys who've been patiently waiting. I want to, now that we've done that work, I want to be able to open it up. So get excited for that. If you're on the waiting list, or if you go to the waiting list, which you can get there by going to replicateyourresults.com, then you'll get an email that you've been granted the course, which get excited. So it'll be in the next little bit, couple weeks here. But Mackenzie, you met her when I was launching that course last summer, and she had already had great success in her business. But you guys, Mackenzie continued to grow and build her business, and she wound up going viral on social media after tons of hard work. She's known as Freedom Barbie on Instagram and TikTok and all the places. She now even has her own podcast, which is really kind of exciting. But y'all, she sold over $1 million worth of Saint in less than a year last year. So she has sold, I don't know if it's quite 2 million yet. It might be. I mean, it's insane. I can't even keep up with her, but she's just crushing it. And again, results are not typical, nor is that something that, we all have to even strive for in our business. But I have to give a girl some props and some praise, especially when I know where she started, which was from a place of kind of frustration and feeling stuck in her business until she took Replicate Your Results, which I'm like, this is amazing. So Mackenzie, congratulations. You definitely had an incredible year, and it was really, really fun and special to watch. So that's my little 3 recognition. Again, there's so many more, so many more, but I got you, girl. Don't you worry. Each month you keep working hard. I will be shouting some folks out. I'm excited. So then finally, our KPIs. So this is the K in work, and this is the actual data. This is the part that I'm nervous that I'm not even allowed to do. I don't even know. I did actually, full disclosure, I got a compliance. It's kind of funny, ironic. I got a notification from our compliance department that I had to take down a podcast because I'd used the word full-time income in it, even though it technically wasn't. It was an interview with someone who wasn't even in network marketing at the time. But anyways, I fixed it, took it down. So I'm praying that I don't get in trouble for this because I had to take a compliance course thing with it. And as far as I understand, this is compliant because I'm being accurate, honest, and I'm pointing to our income disclosure. And if anything, I'm trying to give you the realities of this so that you know how hard it is. It's worth it, but it's work, okay? I'm not trying to be like, come join this sexy thing and be a billionaire overnight. No, that's not what I'm telling you. So anyways, hopefully this is okay. But our total sales as a team, so this is my team-wide in US and Canada, was, my mind is blown, $23,753,512 last year. That's insane. That is seriously insane. That's almost $2 million a month, which I think at one point was my highest month. I just remember when I was I can't believe we sold $2 million. That's insane. It is 20% higher than 2022, which I was really excited about. And also, I know that's not necessarily typical right now in this environment. So number one, I'm grateful. Number two, it's also a reason why what I talk about, I believe in so much and why I feel like it works, the principles and things like that. So I'm really proud of that number. My personal sales is because when you're tracking your KPIs, the first one, if you're taking notes, would be your sales, right? Your personal sales, your team sales. And personally, I sold $53,639, which I'm also very, very proud of because that was 34% growth over the year before. And also, I was not on social for the first 6 months. And nor was I really for the last 4 months because I just I don't even know what to do about social. That's a whole other podcast. But anyways, so 34% growth. I'm really proud of that. Then total artists. So this is total artists for our team, or if you're tracking it for your team, and it was 4,117. So I'm proud of that number. However, I'll tell you why it's maybe not so shiny in a second. But personally, I ended the year with 50 directs, or 50 direct legs, if you will. And just so you know, to compare that to last year, the team is flat. That we literally only gained net 4 artists for the entire year. So that's why it's a little bit, it is what it is, but not so awesome. But so it's normal if you're staying flat or going backwards. But yet, obviously, the team that was there wound up selling 20% more. So something was working. And then personally, I did lose 6 directs, which is sad. It winds up being about 21% of my legs from the start of the year to the end of the year quit, which is, also not great. So got to figure that out myself too. So then new artists is something, or new distributors that you should be tracking in your business. So we did have 1,470 new artists join in 2023, which is awesome. Love that. I think that's great. But because we only grew by 4, that means that we had 1,466 quit. So that's not ideal. That's not, again, it might be typical. I'm not used to it. So I'm like, I think we can do better. And then personally, I had 6 new artists join, and trust me, in enrolling, but I did have 12 quit. That's a lot. So I know I said 6 net quit for the total team, like it went backwards by 6, but yeah. So I had, that's not so great, sadly. So then rank advancements is the next one that you should track. So again, I will moving forward be tracking specifically foundation rank advancements. I unfortunately had not been tracking that. So I don't have what those numbers looks like for 2023, but I know they're not amazing. And I guarantee you they're probably less than 2022. So that's not ideal, but I will be tracking them moving forward. And maybe I'll go back and see if I can dig up the numbers to look at that on another day. But rank advancements overall, so this is anywhere from artist 2 all the way to artist 7, I think was the highest rank on my team for someone last year, was 960. So that's pretty exciting that we helped almost 1,000 people rank and grow in their business. So almost 25% of the team, if you will. And so that's awesome. I'm excited about that. I also was excited that 12 of my legs had rank advancements. So whether it was that person directly ranking or someone on their team ranking, 21% of my legs ranked and were moved forward in their business last year, which I was excited about that. Okay, so then the next one I love is the sales per teamie. So this is the average of your total sales divided by, so if you take your total sales, you divide it by the total number on your team. And then, if you're looking at that over the whole year, then I divided it by 12. That's going to give you a decimal number, and that's going to give you, not a decimal, that's a percentage. You're going to get a number. That's okay. My brain is starting to go crazy too, as yours probably in listening to these numbers. But sales per teamie average is your total sales divided by your total team, and that for me on the commissionable volume, which is the wholesale to kind of make it even across Canada and the United States, is 343 CV, which I was excited is in the 25% commission bracket, which means that if the average artist is in the 25% commission bracket selling about that CV in the US, that would be almost $500, like $497.50 was the number I got, which is $124 or $125 in their pocket each month, which I know that's not millions, but I don't know anybody who wouldn't love an additional $125 in their pocket, right? Like, that's amazing. And I think we need to normalize that that's the goal. Let's all go make another $100 this month, okay? Like, yes, we'd all love to make another 1,000 or another 10,000 or 100,000 or whatever that looks like, but let's normalize helping people make $100 a month. That's awesome. So in Canada, that number looks like 686 because of the conversion differences there. And that is $172 in Canadian dollars. So again, that's amazing. That is amazing. And I'm excited, but I also think we can do better. So anyway, so that's sales per teamie. You should track that. Then finally, total customers. So also new customers is something that I know Brett Blake talks about tracking. I don't have a way to see that for my business or for the, for the team overall. But personally, I could probably figure it out if I go back and add it up, and maybe I will. But I got the total. And so I'll be able to compare that moving forward. And so my total customers are 1,862, which I was like, wow, that's exciting. And again, my directly enrolled artists are 50. So, I already put that on there. We already talked about that. But yeah, my customers, which you should be tracking your personal customers, is 1,862. And then I'll be seeing how that number grows. So that, my friends, are the KPIs, or key performance indicators of my business, which is the final K, or the final letter in the WORK acronym. And I really hope that this has been kind of helpful to give you a snapshot of what an actual leader's business can look like. And again, you might be a leader with a crazier, bigger team that I do at some other company that just wants to stalk and know. I'm an open book. I love to be able to show the results of the people who have implemented the things that I know work. I also know that it's not from my effort. I know that every bit of this is a gift from the Lord, and it's just the people who are choosing faith over fear and taking action on doing the proven systems and strategies that work in this business, and then they're seeing the fruit of that effort pay off. And so I know where all of these results are coming from. Again, the Lord is the source of it all. And so I encourage you to acknowledge that too, wherever you are in your business, and know that He's got you wherever you are, whatever your numbers look like, right there for a reason as well. And so I hope this helps to paint a picture of the realities for you. And hopefully, it'll give you some tips on how you can track your KPIs moving forward and kind of track mine as we go month to month for the next year. And I'll be honest with you guys, and I'll share exactly all 4 of those areas each month. And I'm excited to do it right alongside you guys. So thanks for listening. I hope you'll have an amazing week. Bye.